So let's talk about one of the coolest Unreal Engine marketplace assets lately, GASP, Game Animation Sample Project. Since it came out a couple of months ago, I did decide to do something with it, but honestly, I've been working on multiple contracts, so I didn't really get much time to do personal stuff. But soon as I got me some time, I did fire up a new project and decided to work with it and try it out myself. I did actually check out a bunch of cool stuff that other devs did with it, and the videos were really great. I was really enticed to try it out myself because of that, perhaps. So, for those of you who do not know what GASP is basically a demo project to demonstrate the power of motion matching system that was a feature in Unreal Engine 5.4 newly introduced. So what it does and how it works is that it takes a whole bunch of animations. In this particular project, it includes 500 plus animations and puts them all into a database. And out of that database, using a selector or chooser algorithm, it just selects the one animation that is the most applicable to the current status of your input. That's how you get this very lifelike motion when you're running around and doing traversal and everything else, right? So let's talk about what GASP is and what GASP isn't. It's not a complete game project. So if you're looking for a complete, fully finished project, this isn't the best place to look. But what it is a perfect setup and basis for starting up a project, because it gives you the really AAA looking motion for basic movements, right? And even more. So you have the walk system and width strafe, and you have the running, and you get to also have these cool animations that comes with it for doing traversal things like vaulting, jumping, climbing, stuff like that, right? What this version of GASP lacks is crouching. The devs did say it will come out with 5.5, but right now it doesn't have crouching. So what I added to the project first was crouching, and it does support the same basic concept of the motion matching, so it does look great. Another thing that it doesn't have is the sprinting, right? So we have sprinting here, and just basically adding to the lean and the pace of the character, and I got a sprint out of that. And another thing that it doesn't have is ledge grabbing, right? So whenever, for example, I'm trying to jump here, I wouldn't be normally able to do that with the vanilla GASP project. So this is also added to the project. Another thing that I added to the traversal was the wall jumping. So with the wall jumping, I can say actually it was a complete traversal system now, and it felt like something more like AC or titles like that, where you can do free running and parkour, and it feels really good right now. So the way that the wall jumping setup is working right now, if you're curious to find out, it's basically an IK animation that determines where the trajectory of your character's speed is, and how it's going to hit the wall, which with leg basically, and it then uses IK to drive the animations and do a jump off of that. Another thing is that I made sure that half of the wall jump comes from the trajectory, half of it comes from the input, so you can jump to the wall and back, or like if I want I can just like jump forward, so you have full control over it, and at the same time since it does use 50% off of your trajectory of how you're hitting the wall, it just looks pretty natural. And that's pretty much it for what I added to the traversal and the movement system of the GASP so far. But this project does also have another side to it. The other aspect is the combat system. And the combat system is what's huge in this project. So I've seen a lot of devs trying to implement the GASP with the ALS overlay system. Although it's a really cool idea, for two reasons I don't really think that's super great, because first thing is that the GASP is left foot forward animations, ALS is right foot forward, and that doesn't really match very well with the upper body as well, because if you do try to layer blend animations and poses with this and that, you get something weird out of it. And that's why I decided not to use the ALS at all. Another reason is I always tell my own students, try to avoid mashing two different projects together or two different assets together, trying to get a complete game out of it. And the reason is you don't learn much in the process. At the same time, you don't get to challenge yourself into creating something new, right? So in this project, I really did try to live by what I preach and come up with a whole complete new system. So the combat system, I didn't come up with a name for it yet, but the combat system that we have starts with the loadouts. And the loadouts is starting with the holsters, basically, because you cannot just like pull out guns out of out of thin air, right? Okay, so although that's what happens in a lot of games, I didn't want it to be the case for this game. So I wanted to make sure that if you carry a gun in this game, realistically, you will have to also carry a holster on your person, right? So the idea is the player should be able to decide which holster goes where. So for example, this katana sheath, it could be positioned on my belt or on my back, right? Or this pistol holster could be on my thigh, could be on my belt, could be on my chest. So wherever the player decides to put it, the game needs to be able to handle that. And that's the reason I decided to use every animation out of IK instead of keyframe animations. Although keyframe animations do look great, they can only do one thing, and they can do only one thing only, right? So they're not able to handle every situation in every scenario. But the good thing about IK is that it's kind of like a smart animation, right? It can decide where it needs to go, when it needs to go, and how it needs to go there. So everything in this holstering setup with the animations is based off IK, except the aim offsets and the hand poses. By hand poses, I mean the fingers animations. So, for example, with my right hand, I want to pull out this pistol, right? And when I do, I have a 360 degrees aim offset, so I can just aim around myself and shoot. If I aim all the way behind myself, my character will automatically take a step and turn around and then execute the shot. So that's all we have for the combat system with one gun, right? But I'm also able to equip something with my left hand if I want to. So the aim offset is working with both of them. And the aim offset is really just the horizontal aim offset. It's a 1D aim offset. It's everything else is just IK turning and aiming for me. Another thing that we can do is, reloads, right? So with the reloads being handled by IK also, I was able to make sure that they will work in every situation my character is. For example, let's say my character is doing a traversal action, at the same time wants to reload mags, right? He should be able to do that. Or he's in the air, or he's in the whatever situation, doing a wall jump. So with the IK, you can make sure that the character animation handles that pretty well. The challenges to this system was that the hand, normally if you do a IK, hand will go all the way through your character and just like, you know, grab this pistol. But what I did was to make a whole system, a circle around my character, and calculate where it is right now, my hand, and where it needs to be in a couple of seconds. So you know, if it's behind, I have to reach all the way behind myself. It does one thing. If I have to reach all the way across my chest, it will do another thing, and it will always determine the place where the elbow needs to be. Also, the IK doesn't start only from the shoulder down, so it's not a two-bone IK, it's not a leg IK either. It's a layered IK when it comes to handling this sort of animation. That's how you get some lifelike result like this, where it starts from the spine, it goes through the clavicle, and it goes all the way to the elbow and shoulder and to the hand. So that's how you get this really lifelike animation. Pretty good, I guess, for now at least. I will make more adjustment and more fine-tuning to the animation for sure in the upcoming weeks. But another thing that we have with this setup, the player is able to control his left hand and the right hand separately. So for example, right now I can just grab a pistol with my right hand and a katana in my other hand. So, and I'm able to use them separately as well, like whenever I want, right? So, or I could just like do a dual katana too. Or I could just have a knife and a katana. And both of them also do include a 360 aim offset. If I try to attack right behind myself, it will turn around and execute the motion. So what else? Let's see. I can get a gun in this hand, get a knife in the other hand, and what I can do is melee with this and throw it if I want to. Another thing I can do is to you know, use my other hand to shoot. And let's demonstrate the throw in the slow motion because it looks really cool. That said, how it works is that it has a whole bunch of queue systems, and by queue I mean like a line of different actions that the hands needs to take. For example, if my left hand is holding a pistol and my right hand is also holding a pistol, and I want to swap the pistol out of my left hand to the right hand, I should be able to, right? So the way it is done is that the queue system will determine what action is going to be done with the left hand right now and what action needs to be done with the right hand at the same time. And some of the actions are supposed to work in tandem. So for example, if I right now try to go for swapping what's in my left hand into my right hand, this happens, you know. So doesn't matter how fast I input what I want to input, it will always know the sequence of things that needs to be happening according to the situation. So it will holster the right hand item, then it will wait with the left hand at the same time. Once the right hand is available, both of the hands will swap the object from left to right. So that's how the queue system is working. And the queue system is not just working in my favor in the sense that it just knows what it does. It also helps with the replication as well. Later on, I will demonstrate about that as well. But right now, we also have something else, which is the two-handed platforms. So for SMG or AR platforms, we have a 180 degrees aim, because it would really look weird if I was holding something with my both hands and just like leaning all the way back. It would look really weird. So I decided to limit the aim offset naturally to 180. And if something is behind you, you just have to turn around and take a shot, you know. And so for example, see, it looks very natural when you take a step while doing that. And the reload animations for every gun is again only using IK and the queue system for knowing what needs to be done. Sometimes the magazine is halfway full, I want to reload, I just drop it and put another magazine in, and it's good to go. Sometimes the magazine is empty and there's not even one in the chamber, so the gun is dry, right? So you have to after putting a new magazine, you need to charge the handle, so it knows when to do that. Like for example, like this, you know. And for the times that it just, another thing I can do is to also change the type of ammunition I put into my gun, or and the system is smart enough to know which types are compatible with this gun that I'm currently holding. And or this will also give me the ability to do a tactical reload, which is basically grabbing the magazine out of my gun. If there's something in it, I will keep that, preserve that for later, put it in my pocket, put another magazine in there like this. So there's although it's not as fast as a normal reload, it's pretty helpful for preserving that mag. So that mag I just throw away, it was full. So that's pretty much all the functionalities that I have so far implemented into this project. As you know, the GASP by normal is not replicated at all. So everything in this project is replicated, and it's replicated to perfection. And when I say replicated to perfection, what I mean is it can handle every kind of network you are going to use. So for example, if I was to run this game on a listen server, I should be able to do it. So now I'm the server, I'm playing as the server, and it's okay, it's doing everything that needs to be done exactly the same way. Or I'm able to run two different clients on a dedicated server. So this way, however you want to serve this project to the end user, you should be able to do that, right? And the replications are not driving off of a ton of different variables. I'll show you that later in details, but it is able to replicate every detail. And even this guy agrees with that because his head is moving, and he's able to do everything, every single thing, without replicating a ton of data, which is used for doing that reload animations, right? So the trajectory of that hand movement, the place of that holster, things like this. These are not replicated. These are just handled on the client side. Only thing that is replicated is as simple as just like, I need to grab this item right now. So that's all. And it will execute that action on every client. So another thing I did with it with this project is to make sure that the data handling is actually optimized. And by optimized, I mean for example, if I'm going to do a reload on this gun, the animations are going to need certain components for handling the where the gun needs to go. You know, there's quite a lot of variables into that. So, for example, if my hand is over here or over here, you know, things like that. And these variables are not necessarily something that I need permanently, right? So that's why I have components for these actions, and every single component gets created on the client side separately for different clients. Excuse me. And what happens then is that the component takes care of the data and handles it over the period that this action is going to be performed. After it is performed, it just destroys the component alongside all the data, and it's cooled down, so it doesn't really affect my frame rate if I have 100 players or something. So it just helps a lot when you, especially when you're having a multiplayer game. And another thing is that let me actually show you in the character blueprint all the so if you have tried the project, you know that the project normally is kind of this big, and this is all the basic movements and traversal and stuff like that. But the normal project doesn't include all these run on server or multicast events for it. It just handles it through normal events, and that's why it's not replicated, right? So what we do here is let me show you these variables over here. These are all the variables that are being updated regularly. Everything else is just event based, so that all the emotions that you saw, this is all that's driving them, nothing else. And the good part about doing it like this is that there's not a ton of load on the internet or the network that is handling the game. So what happens is that, for example, if I'm doing like attack, it just knows that I'm attacking right now, or how much recoil needs to be added to my weapon, or things like that. So that's the bare minimum of what needs to be replicated. And other than that, especially when it comes to doing the actions are actually quite complex, right? So it needs to know which gun I'm trying to get out of my holster, which holster it is in, or also where or also like which hand I'm trying to do it with, right? So there's a lot of data that needs to go to it. So what I did was I put all those data into a JSON, I formatted it, and here it is, the action system actually. For the left hand and right hand, it separately has a queue of them. All of these is client-side events, so it's not even going to the server yet. One by one, these queue actions will be executed then, and when they go to the server, they will be interpreted into meaningful data. Like so, for example, the client only sends one line of string in the format of JSON to the server, and that's very light for a big data that is going to be handled. So it's just like texting your friend, that's as fast as it is. And another thing is the action system really helps, because certain actions need to cancel all the other actions, certain actions need to cancel only the others of the same type, or a certain type of action. So in my case, I only had the reloading, so I did that. So this is where the queue system really comes in handy. Another cool thing maybe I can show you is that all the different type of reloads, and if I want to go through all of it, it's gonna take a month. So I'm not gonna try to do all of that in one video. Perhaps maybe in another video we can do more detailed breakthrough of the project. But Before we end it, let's actually have a look at the anim graph as well. So what happens is that this is the base of the GASP and movement that comes with it, with the addition of the sprint, and then all the overlays going to, for left hand and right hand separately, they're going to be handled by this part and this part, and then based on, these are all based on the weapons that you choose. These are the blend spaces. After the blend spaces, it just goes into the part with the hand animations. So, you know, like cocking your gun or like throwing a knife or things like that. It requires the fingers to move in a separate layer, right? So it's happening on the right hand and left hand separately. And wall jumping is using IK. All the other things with the weapon handling is also using IKs. And then this part is where the IK data is getting resolved. It's going to be handled on the IK bones if necessary, and then this part is where it's going to be executed on the actual visible bones. After that comes the melee stuff, and melee just overshadows everything, and finally we have initializations, which is going to like smoothen the blend between animations, and finally it just goes into the output pose. So that's all. It's pretty straightforward, I think. I don't think it's just super complicated, but in detail it is perhaps better suited for another video. If you did wait until this point, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found something that you found useful as well. If you do want to reach out through the Discord community and say hi, I gotta say I always love meeting other devs, and I would love to meet you. Just like, don't be shy, go to the Discord and say hi, and I'll make sure to reply, right? And another thing is, if you did find it in your heart, just click that like button down there, as it will help my channel. I don't do a lot of videos in YouTube, but it's still nice to see people liked it, right? And if you wanted to subscribe, it's cool too. If you didn't want, it's cool too. And I really do mean it when I say I hope to meet you guys in the Discord. I hope to get to know you guys and get to have a conversation with you, because it's always lovely to meet fellow game devs. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed it, and let's have a good day.